Welcome to Fancounters. My name's Nick.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And you can find us on Twitter at Fancounters Live, our Facebook group. If you search Sharpie Nation, you can join there. And you can also contact us via email
at hello@fancounters.com.
Send those emails with guest suggestions, people that you want to put on the program, and we will put you in touch with that guest.
And after I tell you today's story, I would like some emails about what you think about this or what your other experiences have been.
Okay.
About 6 weeks ago, our dishwasher broke.
Okay.
And we'd kind of been waiting for a tax return before we decided to purchase a dishwasher.
Oh, that's right, because you had Mark who didn't want to do any dishes and would leave things piled up for days.
And if you remember the last time we recorded, I had dug in and the dishes had been there for at least 4 days. We were out of bowls, out of forks, out of spoons. And I'm like, no, I am not doing the dishes.
Okay.
So the tax return came in and we had enough money to go out and buy a new dishwasher. And so we started the search at like an outlet center, and then we're told to go to Best Buy because they have actual appliance people owned by an outside company that comes to Best Buy to do it, to get some information. And then we went to the big box stores to see if anybody could beat the price on those specific models. People, this is what I need your response on. When we bought our house, it had been redone, and the entire kitchen was made with Kenmore's. Now, Kenmore is actually only a name that they stick on other things. So,
I didn't know that.
So my Kenmore dishwasher was actually Whirlpool made, but had Kenmore in the front, as does all the rest of my appliances. So I said to my husband, we need to find a Kenmore because it matches the rest of the kitchen, which is black and silver. He's like, no, we don't. I go, yes, we do. You don't want to look like some hick who cannot get your kitchen to match.
Right.
He's like, no, we don't. He's like, well, the other option is we can buy a new dishwasher and slowly over the next couple of years replace, because our appliances are 10 or 12, 10 or 12 years old. So we go to the Kenmore outlet, where we still have a Sears outlet here in Wisconsin, and I find a Kenmore, one.
Wow.
And I, of course, don't pay this close attention. But apparently there's a difference between a stainless steel tub, meaning the inside of your dishwasher, and a plastic tub. Now, we had a plastic tub. It's been fine for the last 12 years. It doesn't have mold in it, didn't do anything nasty. The dishwasher was just old and tired.
Right.
All these people were saying to us, you have to have stainless steel. It's better for the dishes.
And it's more expensive.
Oh, of course, it's like hundreds of dollars more expensive. So after all the research and everything that we do, we decide that we're going to switch brands. So we're going to choose a Samsung, because no matter where we went, we asked everybody to rate like the top 3 dishwashers. Bosch was always the first, and then Samsung came in next. Kenmore Elite, surprisingly enough, even though the brand currently is not being made, but apparently some man has bought Kenmore and is going to revive it.
Okay.
We're the top 3. So we decided to go with Samsung. So I picked out this dishwasher that I thought was going to be perfect, and then I go to the store and I'm ready to get it. This dishwasher has drying assist.
Nice.
No.
Oh.
Let me tell you what drying assist means.
What?
That when the dishwasher is done, but not dry, it pops open to let all the hot air out. And I said, hold up. I have laminate countertops. So isn't that just going to steam the bottom of my countertop? Yes. Okay, it happens to be standing where my prep section is. So what happens if I'm like prepping food and the dishwasher opens on me? Yeah, that could happen. Who in their right mind would design a dishwasher with dry assist that pops open when it's done dry?
Are the dishes dry, though, when you get them out?
Well, I don't know, because there was not a snowball's chance in hell I was buying a drying assist dishwasher.
Gotcha.
So we ended up finding a different Kenmore a different Samsung that does not pop open.
Sure.
But I am dying to know if any of our listeners have that Kenmore with the assist, because I want you to email us at hello@fancounters.com and tell me what you think of this. Now, we do most of our dishwashing at night. I generally start it right before I go to bed.
Absolutely. Same here.
And so as far as the prep stuff, it wouldn't be so bad, but it would still take out the laminate off my countertop.
Yeah.
So I just didn't understand it. And I also would like to know about what you guys think about the non-matching kitchen.
I would not do it. It's not worth it. Your kitchen looking like hot mess.
Right.
No,
and
thanks.
he was like, it's fine.
Yeah, but Mark is kind of like that. He goes
know.
into the kitchen and he's just kind of like,
He's there to get some crap and get out.
yeah.
Yeah, so we did, like I said, we did break down, and now it matches, but the rest of the stuff is all black and silver, and this is just all stainless steel. And so now he doesn't realize it, but I will be pushing for a new stove within the next year, and then the following year we'll be getting a new refrigerator. Because you went down this road, dude. You should have just bought me the dang Kenmore that was cheap and ugly and walked away.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Mark.
Anyway,
All right.
let's get to today's guest.
Agreed. This week on Fan Counters, we're going to have one of my friends on the show who's also my business partner. He's an actor and a film producer. His name is Lloyd Watts. Now, Lloyd's career took off when he had a reoccurring role on the HBO series Treme. He was also featured on another HBO show, True Detective, acting alongside the great Matthew McConaughey.
From in front of the camera to behind it, Lloyd was a driving force behind the success of the independent feature film 59 Seconds. I'm waiting to hear all about that.
Yeah, and we're going to find out all about that film and much more, including our current project that he and I are putting together called Broken Good, and we'll talk about that today on the show.
Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is Fan Counters with Nick and Elizabeth on the PodFix network.
There was this mob of people, and they're screaming my name.
Crazy fans.
Stop following me. Don't come around my house. If you do, the cops are going to be at yours. If I'm having dinner with my wife, don't sit down at my table. Don't follow me into the bathroom.
Can I take a picture? We're gonna. Oh my God.
I think this guy wants to fight me. Ended up being a fan.
I'm the only one that's ever been on Sam Jackson and lived to tell about it.
Well, guess what? I have a big surprise for you.
That's why we call it Fan Counters.
I don't think you're going to last on the air very long.
Lloyd Watts, welcome to Fan Counters. Thanks for being here.
Nah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Now, you're coming to us from New Orleans, so how's the weather there? I don't want to tell you what it's doing here because it has the S word in it, so what's it doing by you?
The weather's pretty nice in New Orleans right now. So right now it's pretty much like, I say high 60s. It's going to get up to like the 70s today. So it's a good day to go out and get crawfish in New Orleans. We're in crawfish season right now.
Awesome. Well, before we get started and dive into all the questions I have for you, for those listening that might not be familiar with your on-screen work, tell us about some things that you wish everyone knew about you.
I've been in the industry for a good bit now. I went to the actor studio and graduated, I would say, 2006. But I'm mainly known for my work on Treme, True Detectives. I also did Broadway work. I worked on Mother Courage with Meryl Streep and Kevin Kline. I was in a very popular play that did well in New York called Hurt Village, which also had Corey Hardwick in it. And he was actually in the movie Straight Outta Compton, which also has my agent, Tasha Smith-Mills. She was repping at the time Jason Mitchell,
Yes.
who actually played Eazy-E in the movie. So I come from those realms of people. But Treme, True Detectives, worked in a movie called Mighty Fine with Chad Palminteri. So I've been in a bunch of just different independent films, a bunch of different TV shows. But as you know now, I've kind of transitioned into the behind-the-scenes work.
Yep, and we're going to go there. But first, we want to hear some history.
Okay, so you spent your childhood being raised in New Orleans. Did you do any
Yeah.
acting in your youth? Or when did you decide that you wanted to be an actor, and when did you pursue this career in the entertainment industry?
I honestly started out from kindergarten. I was cast in the play Raggedy Ann and Andy, and I was cast as I was cast as one of the leads. And I mean, honestly, just from that point on, people told me I had a stage presence. But I kind of ventured off. New Orleans, if you don't know, is like a major sports town and sports city. Like we're crazy about our New Orleans Saints. So I got heavy into like football, basketball, track and field, which was my main sport. But it actually took like a sports injury that kind of derailed that career. And that's when I really started focusing on acting. So I was doing it in the kindergarten and like those early stages, but I got away from it because I got so focused on sports. So right around, because my high school, I went to all-boy high school that's well known in New Orleans, St. Augustine High School. And from that point on, we didn't have drama. or any like theater arts at St. Augustine High School because it was more like a sports school. Or people really know us. We're very well known for our high school band, the St. Augustine St. Aug Marching 100. So as I got out of high school and then kind of going into college because I got a scholarship to run track and field, I kind of ventured off and trying to get back into it. And when I had a very bad injury at LSU that kind of ended my track career, I started going back into the arts and started getting back into acting.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Now, is there footage somewhere of this kindergarten play?
No,
Nobody filmed it?
but I'm sure as my career advances, especially with all the projects that are brewing right now, somebody's gonna eventually probably pull it out.
I will look forward to that. So after graduating high school, you did leave New Orleans. You went to New York. Was that for college or was that for the Actors Studio?
That was for the Actors Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. So before that, I went to school in actually Jacksonville. I went to a JUCO to run track, and so it's funny. Like the universe and just the way everything was working out, the way God had everything structured. My career was coming to an end, but I didn't know it.
Oh.
So I kind of just basically was in Florida, and then I ended up going to Mississippi, and I was going to play football there and run track, but that's when the injuries started picking up and kind of came back to New Orleans, and I just had to kind of like reevaluate my life and everything. And it just really, my fallback on to kind of keep my sanity was going into acting, and I just really indulged in it.
Now, I know one of your mentors is Anthony Mackie. How did that friendship form, and what are some of the lessons that you learned from him?
Yeah, so actually I have two mentors. I mean, so Anthony is more really like a close friend and like big brother. And then I also had Wendell Pierce at the time of making that transition, going to New York.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationship with Anthony actually started from one of my older sisters, Marla. She and Anthony grew up together because we kind of all grew up in the same neighborhood. And I was kind of sort of like the little brother that would tag along. But as I was getting ready to go to school in New York because I had got a scholarship to the Actors Studio, Anthony at the time, in between doing 8 Mile, and he was doing another movie with Samuel L. Jackson at the time, he wasn't really at home. So while I had my scholarship and then, trying to save money, trying to handle New York and dealing with because our school is very rigorous as far as our schedule, my sister offered for him to actually kind of I didn't have any family in New York, so Anthony was the only person that I knew from New Orleans. So I went out to his co-op at the time, and basically I was kind of like a person who he was able to actually kind of like watch his house while he was gone.
Wow.
But in return, it was good for me because I was able to kind of save money that I was kind of just spending for my stipend on my dorm. And long story short, I ended up becoming like a little brother that he always wanted, and just kind of watching his house, and that relationship just really just flourished from that point on. And we're going on almost 15, 16 years of a great friendship.
Wow.
Awesome. So one of your earliest roles was on the HBO show Treme. You played Jerome Cherry, a man that went missing following Hurricane Katrina. Tell us about how you found out about that audition and what the process was like to get that job.
So what's real interesting about Treme is at the time I was actually in LA because I left New York and I was trying to get my own personal projects going because we had Katrina and all this other stuff that happened. So I had ideas for stories that I thought at the time were great to kind of get going. And just quick little backstory about Treme, which I think is important, is that I had a teacher by the name at the Actors Studio, Ellen Barkin, who I hope people know who she is.
We do, yeah, I know she
is.
Yeah,
it's very iconic. Worked on a bunch of projects. And she was a very influential teacher for me. And one of the things she told me or taught me was that you always need to take control of your career. No matter how many acting gigs or how many acting jobs you have, you should always find a way to develop your own projects. And that kind of stuck with me. And I led myself out to LA trying to make those things happen. But I had an agent at the time, Claudia Spiker, who unfortunately passed away several years ago. And she encouraged me to come back to New Orleans because after Katrina, New Orleans really became this hub for independent movies, and also the tax incentive grew in New Orleans, which, from my understanding, New Orleans is actually one of the first places that really flourished on tax incentives. So now we started getting all these projects, and then Treme happened, and in the process, I ended up coming back home because everybody heard about this new show, Treme. But I actually went, before I got the role of Jerome Cherry, I actually went on 6 callbacks for other roles. And there was a gentleman by the name of David Mills, who was a writer on Treme, who passed away. And through the course of me going on these callbacks, you know, when you do a callback, if people don't know about a callback on the TV show, you're going to see, like, basically the producers, the writers, the director, everybody's in this room. And the way Treme worked, because they were very secretive about the show, you didn't get the script until you actually went to the audition. So you were literally, and this is where my theatrical training came in from doing Broadway, was kind of catching stuff on the spot and being, you know, in the moment. I was able to actually do well, so I kind of had an advantage, but I just wasn't for them. And, you know, you never know why you may not get a role, but it wasn't quite right. But I had one gentleman, David Mills, who passed away, rooting for me, along with the casting director, Megan Lewis, who's also an Emmy-winning casting director, and she also worked on The Wire. So people from Treme also worked on The Wire, and so I was right for it, but just not those particular 6 roles. And then eventually on my 7th audition, I finally got Jerome Cherry, and because I had been working so hard, or they had been working hard to finally get me, because they liked me, but it wasn't just quite right for those particular roles. That caused the role of Jerome Cherry, and me being on there for like 2 seasons and doing the voiceover work, all that stuff played on how I kept delivering every time. And this is like for anybody that's trying to get something done, and it's a good lesson, is that you never know why you may or may not be getting something, but your hard work will pay off. So by me being patient and having a good attitude about having to come in the same time, seeing the same people 6 times, my attitude caused me to get that longevity on Treme.
We've heard that a few times, that you have to go in over and over and over for these roles, and they're just waiting for that one to be completely right for you.
Well, I can't imagine how hard that job is of those casting directors either. Like, you see thousands and thousands of people, and you have in your head exactly what you're looking for, and you kind of have to have the blinders on for that particular role. And so even though you went in for those other 6 times, the blinders were on for those particular people. And then when he came in for Jerome Cherry, he was the right. Yeah. And
I was perfect.
Yeah. That's hard, man.
So when you go in and you do those voiceovers for your character, like, do you go in weekly to do this thing, or are you taping it all at one time? You know? No,
it was weekly. It was weekly going in, taping. And then along with doing the tapings for Jerome Cherry, which caused the longevity on being on the show, which you see is 15 episodes, was that, you know, Treme was an authentic show, and David Simon, who was the creator, along with David Overmeyer on the show, they wanted these very authentic New Orleans voices. So along with me doing Jerome Cherry, there were other components of the show that caused me to also have to do voiceover. So we could be in there, and I could be in there looping or doing ADR work on Jerome Cherry. And then what happened was they wanted more authentic voices for New Orleans. So we ended up creating like more characterization for Treme that you may not see, or that was actually voiceover work that needed to be fixed on the show. So that caused my character to actually have more longevity, just based upon us getting into ADR and them hearing my voice. And that gave me the more longevity, along with also the casting director and the writer who actually passed away, David Mills. Like, when I finally got to set for Jerome Cherry, and the casting director told me this, there was a sign of relief of that we finally got Lloyd on set. Like, actually, their goal was to finally get me on set. And then David Mills passed away. So honestly, I don't even know what could have happened with my character if David Mills passed away, because he was really vouching for me every time.
What are some of the takeaways you had from your 2 seasons on Treme?
one of the biggest takeaways, and a lot of people don't know this. So Dan Addius, who became a mentor of mine, when I got on set, so I always, because of Ellen Barkin and going to actor studio, when we went to actor studio, it was not just about acting. You learned how to act, write, produce, and direct. We actually had classes where, like, going through those 6 auditions and callbacks, I was ready for it because at school, we would literally have a class that was set up like a casting process where we would come in and audition, and we would have casting directors that were students that would judge us on our audition. So from the process of doing all this preparation and now getting onto Treme, when I met my director for one of the episodes, I knew he was an actor, but now he switched to now director Dan Addies. So I went to him on set and told him what my ultimate goal was. So he asked me what I was doing the next day, and I said, I'm going out to do a one-man show. And he was like, well, look, when you get back, come back on set and see us before you shoot again. And from that point on, I actually got another mentor, Anthony Hemingway, who's very well known for directing. And the biggest takeaway from Treme was just family environment, which I loved. And it was very family oriented. So not even getting paid extra from that point on days when I didn't shoot, I was on set, just literally sitting there behind the scenes, just kind of embracing and learning what it meant to be a TV director, a producer, and just understanding the whole process behind the scenes. And that was the biggest takeaway I got, that they allowed me to actually come on set, no matter where they were. They would always call me or text me and let me know the location, and I would come there no matter what time of the day, a night shoot, daytime shoot, I was there, and they allowed me to sit right next to the director and the producers to kind of grasp what I wanted to learn behind the scenes.
That
Cool.
is an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lloyd, before I go on to the next question, since Tremaine had to do with Hurricane Katrina, were you there when the levees broke and all that chaos was going on?
No, I wasn't there, but my family was, which was kind of scary at the time. We didn't know what was going on because the phones went down and I was away in school. And this is actually something else that people don't even know, and this is like major credit to Actor Studio, which if people don't know, the Actor Studio at the time was James Lipton, who did the show inside the Actor Studio. That's the school I went to. So the school actually, when Katrina happened, they actually, I was in my senior year, so they told me, look, we understand the tragedy of this because Katrina was just a whole nother level as far as tragedy for our country. So they told me, look, you've already proven yourself, and what we want to do is allow you to go home and just kind of make sure your family is good, and we're going to still give you your diploma. Wow. And we didn't know where my mom and dad was, and as my mom and dad tried to, so here's the thing with New Orleans, if you don't know about hurricanes, we have this saying that, okay, if a hurricane is coming, we'll just get alcohol, we'll, just put ourselves inside, get lights, get whatever we need, candles, and we'll just kind of get enough food, have a little party inside, and we'll just ride it out because usually it didn't go that bad. But like you said, the levees broke and it got bad. So my family was able to finally get out, my mom and dad, because my sisters were away. And along of them trying to get out, they actually had a bad car accident and almost passed away and died. Wow. So we didn't know what was going on, getting a phone call from the state police. Like, it was crazy. So I had all these emotions going on. So my school to tell me that, look, even though we know you want to finish, you can actually, like, get your diploma. And I'm talking like I had, we're talking Katrina happened like August, September. So I had a whole year to go to school for my senior year, and they were going to give me my diploma based upon what I had already done. Right. So just from that experience alone, it was almost like life's experiences was kind of expanding me to prepare for what I'm dealing with right now within the film industry. So, like, I wasn't in New Orleans at the time, but my school and what I was dealing with in New York was trying to really, and they even did like a fundraiser for my family, actually.
Wow.
Through the process of like dealing with Katrina, because we lost everything. Like, our house was like completely like 15 feet underwater. Like, the neighborhood I lived in, there was about 15 to 20 feet of water that hit. And to this day, the house was done and everything. And it looks beautiful now, but yeah, it was completely underwater, 15 feet.
So you went home. You did not stay and finish that senior year?
I did finish. So,
Okay.
which I didn't get back to. When we found out what happened with my mom and dad and they had the accident, and my sisters, everybody told me that they were okay, but they were in the hospital. When I finally I did come home and get to my mom and dad. My mom told me, don't worry about us. We know what your ultimate goal is and what you're doing. And then, of course, I had, my best friend, Anthony, who I was staying with at the time. They were just like, look, just go and finish what you have to do, and we'll be good. And that's what I did. I finished up school. My parents came out to my graduation, and it was great. Like, I'm glad that I was able to actually finish school, and then also as well that my parents were safe as well.
That's really awesome.
So let's jump to your next role on HBO. It was on the hit show True Detective. You had the amazing opportunity to work right alongside Matthew McConaughey. So tell us about how this role came about, and there was something kind of extra special about this because there was a long rehearsal for your scene. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so, if people don't know, when you're shooting TV and they actually called the episode that we shot for Who's There and True Detective, they called it one of the best. It was an all one-shot montage that I think it was like 8 minutes long. So Carrie, who was the director, he had this great idea of all these components going on, and it was two different units that were shooting, because I didn't even get a chance to actually meet Woody Harrelson because he was on a completely different side of a neighborhood that we were shooting. So all of my stuff was dealing with Matthew McConaughey because he was kind of breaking into a stash house that me and my gang was a part of. So through the process of doing this whole shoot, I got the project because of what I did on Treme and because of Megan Lewis, who was the casting director. So through the process of doing Treme, I got True Detectives. But what was funny was that we had to rehearse for a whole week because the scene was very dangerous and it was very detailed. There was a lot of fight choreography that we had to go through. There was glass that had to be broken. Of course, it was saved glass, but there was things that was going on within the realm of two different units, and then there was this big chase scene, helicopters, and all these things going on. So we were a part of all of that, but they actually broke it down kind of, condensed because it was such much chaos going on all for 8 minutes. So that's why that actual one episode literally took 2 weeks. And usually for an episode, only take a week and a half to shoot.
Wow, several extra days.
A scary thing happened to Matthew McConaughey while you were filming that scene. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, through the process, and as you know, when you're shooting TV, multiple times, you always want to, of course, try to get the best shot. And because we were doing this big montage, this one shot scene, we because of safety, we have to practice so much on the gunshots and of course the glass, the safe candy glass that was breaking. And unfortunately, literally on one of the last takes that we were doing, a piece of it kind of flew towards Matthew McConaughey's eye. And because of his safety, because they didn't want anything more dangerous to happen, because he was okay, but just the energy of the scene, because it was so chaotic and so much going on, they decided to just kind of shut it down, and they realized that we had enough.
And what was Matthew McConaughey like towards the other actors that, are not as name famous? What was he like to work with?
Oh man, he was amazing and really, really a nice guy. And if you know, Matthew McConaughey is from Texas, so of course there's this southern, charm, this southern energy of being in New Orleans. And New Orleans, we're crazy about, like I said, we're crazy about our New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees. So we of course got into big conversations about sports, as he's a big Washington Redskins fan, even though he's from Texas. But we would always get into conversations about sports. And, just honestly, you would think someone of his caliber would just be in his trailer and just kind of isolate himself from everyone. But literally, because there were so many things going on within that particular scene, but he was honestly really more kind of surrounded by us all the time. If you watch that scene, there's a big stash out that he runs into kind of almost towards the end of the episode, and he was within our component of the shoot all the time, kind of just hanging around us. So it was really special to kind of just see someone of this caliber be so genuine and just, honest and just real,
That's nice to hear. I like to hear that they're like actual nice people.
Right.
So let's move on to the film work you've done. You served as an executive producer on the film that got some great distribution for an independent film. The movie was called 59 Seconds and dealt with a pretty heavy topic. Tell us about that film.
I worked on this film called 59 Seconds, which actually is ironic. We talked about The Wire. We had Halito McCullum, who starred in The Wire, that was one of the actors we got for the project. But dealing with the issue of teen suicide, I used to do this one-man show that traveled around the country and even in like Japan and China on domestic abuse and violence against women. So because I dealt with that topic and I did this show, there was a gentleman by the name of Benedict Dorsey, who I had did another project for. So when he was trying to get 59 Seconds together, and because I had previously worked on Treme, he knew that I was shadowing like Dan Attias and trying to follow Anthony Hemingway and learning from them. He figured I kind of had an insight on what it would take to produce. So that's how 59 Seconds came to me. And we just kind of like just put, our kind of two heads together along with another gentleman by the name of Elijah Kelly. So together we created the project 59 Seconds, kind of reached out. We shot for the stars, trying to get some actors, which I don't have to name. And we were able to get a really solid, great cast. And it took some time. It took a while, but finally got the project shot, got it done, had some great actors like Pruitt Taylor Vince, who was an Emmy Award-winning actor, and then also Halito McCullum, Dansane Abernathy, who's actually the daughter of the famous Ralph Abernathy, who was very influential during the years of Martin Luther King. But really having those lead actors, I was able to go out to a market called American Film Market and get a sales agent by the name of Phil Gorin. And Phil was able to get us distribution throughout the U.S. and Canada, and China, Germany, just some really great territories. So right now, literally to this day, we're streaming for about like the next 7 to 10 years on video on demand. You can go to like Time Warner, Cox, Verizon, all of your video on demand networks, and you could check out 59 Seconds.
Nice.
And that film also starred somebody who would go on to bigger things, Octavius Johnson, who starred in Ray Donovan. So
yes, Octavius Johnson.
Was before
at the time when we did 59 Seconds, no one knew who Octavius Johnson was, but lo and behold, his career has taken off, and we actually talk from time to time on what's going on, and it hasn't happened just yet, but he and I have talked about eventually working together again.
That's awesome. He's a good guy. He was in my film, Diary of an Ex-Child Star, and got to know him through that. So it's good to see him living and working in Hollywood. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Lloyd, were you surprised by how much work that you found goes into making a film before everybody actually gets to step on set?
Yes, I was surprised. What I kind of attribute the whole process as far as what it takes to kind of work on a movie behind the scenes, it's almost really like building a house. Like as we were talking about my friend Anthony Mackie, like he's big in real estate. So I've kind of seen and been around as far as what it takes to kind of build a home up from the ground up. And it's really literally all those components. If you don't have a good foundation, you don't have a good home. So the movie making industry from behind the scenes is the same way. You need a really good gaffer, an electrician, all these names that people don't know, when it comes to dealing with the lighting, from the production designer to, of course, your cinematographer and so on, of course, the producer and the director and everything. But just how many people it takes, from 50 to 100 to even, 200 people, like it really takes all these people to, make this movie come to life, for these actors that are in front of the camera. So honestly, I love the challenge. Like I really do. Like it's kind of weird. Like a lot of people ask me, like, what's going on? Why you're not acting anymore? I love the challenge. I don't know what it is. Like I think it was because of what I saw from behind the scenes and kind of being able to go on set now every single day and seeing what they do behind the scenes with Treme. And then also too, kind of I did sort of the same thing with True Detective, but not like I did with Treme. But I just had a different insight, and I loved it. I just really loved the rush of really having to complete everything. And because of that, I was able to be successful with 59 Seconds, and then, of course, now so on with other projects coming forward.
So are you not interested in acting at all?
No, of course. I mean, I'll that's my baby. Like, that's the heart of doing acting. And I mean, honestly, if I could, which me and Anthony talk about this all the time. I mean, honestly, if I could do Broadway all day, I mean, that would be my forte of choice. But Broadway doesn't necessarily pay the bills. You know what I mean? So
you mean Broadway acting, or can you sing? Because I didn't know you could sing.
No, I'm talking about Broadway acting.
Okay.
No, if I could sing, I probably would be on Broadway right now. Like I was talking about the project Hurt Village that we did. And literally, majority of the cast were like Broadway singing stars. Like if you were to search during my Google that cast, like a lot of these actors are amazing singers that work all the time. Like I was in awe of just the company that I was around for that particular project.
I was just going to make you bust out some chops here and sing for us if that was the case, but because I didn't know you possessed that talent, and well, I guess we don't.
I can sing a little bit, but I'm not good enough to pull that off.
Okay. Now, your current project is also my current project. It's a film about bullying and what happens when we ignore the signs our children subtly try to give us when they're dealing with hardships in their life, and we've called it Broken Good. It's been more than 5 years since we've tried to become an overnight success. We're hoping to begin filming this fall. I think it's safe to say that. So what surprised you about the challenges that we have faced trying to get our film off the ground?
I think the challenge is, we talked about 59 Seconds, which, it was a low-budget film. And, Broken Good is considered a quote-unquote low-budget film, and we're kind of going a little bit more mainstream with this particular project. Now that we've kind of tackled the film financing portion of this particular project, now the challenge is really making sure that the script is right and we have all those components together, because now we're trying to get more mainstream talent. So that's been the biggest challenge in trying to find the right particular actors for the project. So we have a couple of names that are actually attached to the project, but these are actually more so quote unquote like Disney stars or younger stars. So I think it's always interesting, which I'm finding out from the process, that there is a certain name recognition that can kind of get your project like greenlit. So that process has been more so the challenge as far as trying to find that right particular male or female actor that we can bring on board now that we have financing to actually close the deal. So when you hear that like projects like Ray Charles and so on takes almost like 7 years to get made, you understand it, because it's literally finding the right person. Like I can't see Ray being done any other way besides having Jamie Foxx. So I understand now that if we have to go through 6 or 7 different actors before we find the right set in our project Broken Good, because it has to be that right person. So honestly, like I was saying, like that longevity, like going back to those 6 callback auditions and then finally going on the 7th one was the right one. I truly believe, as we've been working on this project for like the last 5 years, like we're finally getting to that last final stage to where it's almost like we're in that callback round to where we're going to finally get that right actor that's going to now really push us over the threshold, and we'll move right into production this fall, which we're extremely close to closing out on now.
Yeah, and when you talk about Disney stars, it's funny, when we started this project so many years ago, we always have to have in mind who we thought we would cast, because you never know when the opportunity to make this film is going to come up. You always have to be ready. And it's funny how people have aged out. And I use the example of, we talked a lot about Demi Lovato to play the teenager role. Well, now she is completely not a teenager anymore and has definitely moved into young adult. So, if something like that would have come along, that role would have changed for that person because, they grow up. And that's what's hard about it is you get your heart set on who this person is going to be. But years go by and, the people and the role they're right for changes. So that does make it tricky.
It makes it very tricky. And I think, also too, and that's the thing, and the thing about especially like youthful projects, like a project like Broken Good, which deals with middle school kids around the age of that 13, 14 years old, it's a very critical age. So casting it properly and then also casting the right adults around it is very important. So I think overall that's been like the major challenge as far as getting the right cast, and then also at the same time, as time evolves, then we also have to change the script as well. So it's been like a really fine balance that we've been dealing with as far as making sure those things match up well, because we have to make sure we stay current.
For sure. Yep. And we're always updating that script. In fact, it's funny. You frustrated the heck out of me yesterday because you sent me about 2 pages of notes of stuff that should get changed in the script that a person on our team felt would really beef it up. So it's back to the drawing board as far as some of those changes go.
Yeah, and then, like the good thing, and that's what we were talking about, is that, like, with the success that we're having now with past projects, now more people, more experienced producers are now coming on board for this project. So when you have someone that's done like over 42 feature films and they get a hold of the script and they're like, the script is great, but, these are things that we can do to make it greater. And you get 2 pages of notes on things that needs to get tweaked out. Also, like I said, you got to love the challenge, because at the end of the day, it's really all a part of that process and making sure that you have the best product that, your guests are going to love, your audience overall.
So thinking back to everything that you've learned from the time that you started acting till now producing, what are some of the most common pitfalls that you've experienced, and how do you think aspiring filmmakers who might be listening to this podcast right now, how can they avoid those challenges?
I would say overall, as far as having a pitfall, a closed mouth does not get fed. And what I mean by that is basically you got to take risks. Like, you have to take chances. And if you look at anybody that, male, female, whoever you want to look at, that has become successful, they all have failed, like, drastically. And that's what I'm finding out, that you gotta take chances. Like, you have to literally, like, roll the dice. Like, I had a project a while back that we were gonna do with Ice Cube and not his son O'Shea, but another son. And I was told to not ask them for the financing, just because we were trying to get, several things going. And honestly, if I was to do it again, and from some advice of my Hollywood mentor friends, I was told to ask him, and I didn't, because I listened to someone else. So what I would say to someone is that you got to follow your own instincts, because at the end of the day, nobody could dream the dream better than a dreamer can. So if that's your dream, if that's your baby, like Broken Good is our baby, Nick, we're going all out for this. We're going after everybody that we can think of. And it's okay. It's okay to get that no, because through that door of that no, you're going to eventually get that yes. And like I said, anybody that you look at that has been successful in life, they can tell you that they've had way more no's than they've had a yes. But it takes that one yes that will push you over the threshold, that you will, become that producer, filmmaker, director, actor, whatever you're dreaming of. You're going to become it because you went through the no's to get to the yes.
So in that story where you didn't ask about financing, do you wish you would have?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If I could do it again, like I would have definitely asked for it. But, overall, I feel like you can't have regrets. It's just all learning lessons. So because of it, it has made me work, like, way more harder, because honestly, if that project had happened, how hard would I have worked on Broken Good? Like, I probably would have, like, honestly, if that project happened and then when you came to me with this project, we probably would have already shot in it by now, because I would have not taken it as seriously. So we might have had a project that would have gotten out, and people wouldn't have gotten the best of Broken Good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't have gotten the very, very best of it. So I feel like because of those pitfalls, because those things haven't gone right, this has caused us to work extra hard on making sure, and nothing's going to be perfect in life. You can't have everything perfect, but I feel like now as we're growing, as you're seeing, we're getting more stronger people to the table. We're getting a better version every time of Broken Good.
So on Fancounters, which is the name of our podcast, we like to ask you about your encounters with fans. So have you had anybody who recognizes you from TV or film? And if so, what were those experiences like?
I've had people recognize me from TV and film. I think more than anything, which is funny, is that people always feel like you look like someone. So they'll see you and then they'll think that you're someone else. But then when you tell them what you're on, then they realize that you are that person. So it's kind of like one of those things when people see you and they say you look familiar or you look like someone. And then you spark up a conversation, and then the rest is just kind of history of you having that familiar face. And especially during the time when Treme was going on, because Treme, I'm sorry, don't quote me on this. I can't remember exactly how many seasons Treme lasted for, but definitely as it was going on from past that second season to the third and on, people definitely recognized me from that particular project. And then also, too, even though the scene was kind of condensed a lot because there was so much going on from two detectives, people recognized me from that particular show as well.
Are you sometimes surprised that happens? Because, those are sometimes blips on a long series. So are you surprised when some people come up to you and be like, hey, weren't you the guy on that one show?
Yeah, definitely. And more than anything, too, especially with like the success of like doing like a great Broadway or like an off-Broadway show, being recognized for those particular projects are also very awesome as well. Like just the feel of somebody that was impacted by your performance, like it's a great feeling. And the same thing as well too for like doing the one-man show that I was talking about, just the impact of because before I do the one-man show, people will Google you or go on your IMDb page and like look you up. So for them to find those particular projects that you're actually in, like it's a great feeling for somebody to come up to you after the show and say, I actually checked that project out and you did great work in it.
Wow, very cool. Now, have you ever been starstruck yourself?
Honestly, no. And I think only, and I got to attribute that to, my good friend Anthony, from just being around him. And like as I said, when I went to New York and him kind of just taking me on his wing, being my big brother, being my mentor, and really being with him since like 2003. Wow, we're going on like 16 years now. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of been around a lot of people, especially with his success of like the Marvel movies. So I've kind of seen a lot of celebrities. So I don't necessarily get starstruck. I would say more so it's an amazing feeling to, like we were talking about Matthew McConaughey, and then getting the opportunity to actually talk to like Samuel L. Jackson, Angela Bassett, Morgan Freeman, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans. I mean, the list goes on. Just, you get in front of those people and you always wonder like how this person is like actually in person, and they're a human being, and, they're great people. So I think that's the best thing that I have as far as like fan encounters, to actually finally get a chance to meet these people and just see that they're just regular people and actually great people as well.
And I think that's what our audience finds when we do this show. We talk to, several large celebrities and smaller scale ones, and they're all the same.
Yeah.
They all think the same way. And
put their pants on one leg at a time.
There you go.
That's it. That's it at the end of the day.
So do you have anything coming up that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, we have the project Broken Good that's getting ready to hit the horizon soon. We're very close into going into pre-production, and also have another project that we just did. I was associate director on the project. It's called The Opera Game. and it has Clark Peters in it. Blaine Kern is in it as well. It's kind of sort of like a doc drama project, and that should be coming out soon. And I have another project actually that we're going to be working on really soon about Matthew Henson, who was an explorer to the North Pole. So we're in treatment phase on that project, but as we get past on that script, things should be moving fast with that project as well.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, Lloyd, where can we continue to follow your journey on social media?
You can literally just Google me and pull me up on Facebook, or you can also find me on Instagram as well if you just search my name. And my IMDb page is always being updated currently, and eventually we're going to have Broken Good on there as well once we close out these last few things with these actors. So you can follow me on IMDb, Facebook, just Lloyd Watts, or you can go on Instagram as well and follow me under.
Do you know what your handle is on Instagram?
Yeah, it's Godson. Godson 33. So GODSSON, the number 33.
Awesome. Now, because I was going to say, we're going to have to get you better at posting on Instagram once we get this project rolling.
No, I am. I just been I've been so busy, as you know, dealing with getting everything up to par with Broken Good and a couple of other projects as well, and then also too tracking the success of 59 Seconds as well with these foreign territories. So I promise, like, I'm gonna. And someone told me that I need to post more on social media, but that's one of my goals eventually this coming fall, to make sure that I post a lot more.
That's okay.
And I also do have another project. I'm sorry I didn't mention. I do have another project that I will be working on with Jason Mitchell. We're in the script phase right now. It's called Suppers. And if you don't know who Jason Mitchell is, he was repped by my agent, Tasha Smith Mills. And Jason was on Straight Outta Compton. He played Eazy-E. And he's also on a TV show right now, which is actually getting ready to start their next season, airing soon on Showtime, called The Shy. And one last thing, speaking of my agent, who is an amazing mentor in my life, Tasha Smith Mills, she has a book out called Mom, I Shoulda Listened. And we are also in the process of beginning to put together a script for that particular project as well. So got a lot of things in the works.
That's great. Well, you have to, because you never know which one's going to catch fire at what time. So that's
no,
cool.
You don't. You really, really don't. And we didn't think 59 Seconds was even going to get distribution, and we did. So you never know what's going to happen.
And I was going to say before, when we were talking about social media, we also have gotten very lazy about posting on social media. Our Twitter and we don't promote the Instagram because we're a podcast. What are you going to take a picture of? Here's my soundboard today.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not authorized to use our social media, so I can't help you.
You're authorized. You just don't want to.
I'm not going to touch it, man.
See?
Get
exactly.
nowhere near it.
So we have to get better at that, too. It has been awesome having you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
No, thank you, guys. This is awesome.
Our thanks to Lloyd Watts for joining us on the program this week. We hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes of the show.
Well, I, as most of you know, don't ever see the scripts until I sit down in my chair. And I was thrilled to learn all about your new movie.
Yes. So we're hoping to start this fall.
Cool.
Fingers crossed. We've had a start date a couple of times, so you never know if something's going to happen or that doesn't happen. But if it does, that's going to make for some great podcasting episodes.
Yes, so. And Lloyd is such a sweetheart, and boy, is he busy.
He is very busy. He's got his hands in so many projects.
I'm just saying, if the boy took some voice lessons, he could be killing it on Broadway.
Right? Exactly.
I didn't say that while we were on the air with him because I thought it might be mean, but I'm just saying. I know all the reviews of the Broadway show that he was in, and I think that it went fantastic. And if you're just lacking that singing thing, dude, I'd be spending my money on singing lessons.
Now, I know you're still listening because, well, you're hearing me. I'm only going to push for one thing this week before we close out, and that is a review on iTunes or whatever streaming platform you're listening to us on. Give us a review. We are lacking in that department. For the amount of downloads we have, our reviews are like
dismal.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not even a fraction of what we get in listens. Please go on your favorite podcasting streaming platform and give us a 5-star rating. Anything else from you?
Yes, don't forget to go to hello@fancounters.com and tell me what you think about this new...
Or the appliances.
The mismatched appliances and also the active drying thing that pops open.
Okay, there you go. You got homework. Now
All
get
right.
to it.
We're done. Hey, turn it off.
Just say goodbye.
Oh, yeah. All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This was a podcast from the PodFix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.